Smart Learning, and the Mobile Taxonomy. A research presentation by Richard Mellor at Staffordshire University. Are mobile devices fundamentally affecting higher education? In 2011, EDUCAUSE asked many academics and higher education stakeholders this same question, revealing some very positive insights in their responses. The most common thread was that of, most definitely.
Yes, they will. Oh, certainly. Definitely.
Absolutely, yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Mobile devices and mobile technology are changing everything.
The whole world's being affected by mobile devices, and higher ed IT can't escape the effects. Absolutely.
Let me put it to you this way. I think that mobile devices are changing everything.
I think mobile devices are changing every facet of our society, and higher education and research are included in that.
Yes, I think they are. I mean, it's a whole new way of computing.
The thing that I want to do is I want to understand how mobile devices can really meaningfully be used in the classroom, teaching and learning. And I want that to percolate through from the pedagogy point of view through to the IT.
Teaching practices have evolved over the last 20 years, with more and more emphasis on student-centered pedagogy. Together with the growing ownership of personal handheld devices among students, the potential for smartphones in education builds upon experience described in extensive literature on mobile learning by Vibala from the previous decade, which suggests that the ubiquity, multifunctionality and connectivity of mobile devices offers a new and potentially powerful networked learning environment. According to a report by McKinsey & Company and the GSMA 2012, the estimated worldwide value of the mobile learning sector will be worth $70 billion by 2020, of which $32 billion is attributable to smartphone sales, with the balance split across a range of products and services, such as ebooks, e-courses, game and simulation-based learning tools, and collaboration tools. However, while these smart technologies can enable new forms of teaching and learning to take place, they cannot ensure that effective and appropriate learning outcomes are achieved. It is not technologies, but educational purposes and pedagogy, that must provide the lead, with students understanding not only how to work with technology, but why it is of benefit for them to do so. Knowing about students' use of technology as well as their attitudes and experiences can help teachers and institutions develop a better understanding of preferred learning methods and new ways of content delivery. This research is important to lecturing and teaching staff and to our students. Intrinsically, it is also important to emerging pedagogy. This research explores the students' interest in using their own smartphones to support their learning and goes on to identify which apps are most useful to graphic design and illustration students. A smart taxonomy for graphic design and illustration undergraduates. In 1956, Benjamin Bloom defined 3 domains of learning: affective, psychomotor, and cognitive. The goal of the domains, termed Bloom's taxonomy, was to create a more holistic approach to designing learning. Meanwhile, Anderson and Krathwohl revised Bloom's original in 2001 to make it more relevant to newer educational theories by combining both the cognitive process and knowledge dimensions. Church's digital taxonomy took the revision a step further in 2008 by adding multimedia technology to the taxonomy and the associated learning opportunities that emerge from the integration of Web 2.0 technologies into the learning environment. Alan Carrington developed the concept further in 2012 with his introduction of the pedagogy wheel, a graphical way for teachers to see the mapping of Bloom's taxonomy whilst linking iPad and iPhone apps to each cognitive domain category. My own study takes all these previous revisions a step further by relating each cognitive category to the learning needs of graphic design and illustration undergraduates, while the keywords associated with each of the cognitive categories have remained unaltered. The actions and outcomes have been modified to meet the needs of contemporary practices. Central to this inquiry is the relevance and use of smartphone apps as a way of enhancing the learning experience. By collaborating with students at Staffordshire University, the study takes on a further dimension, as the results of a student survey ranks those selected smartphone apps for their level of take-up factor and usefulness. It was conducted in 3 stages, involving a workshop and a product trial, followed by an online survey. The initial workshop invited students to showcase their preferred apps and to demonstrate their usefulness. Each app was then categorized according to its place in the cognitive process of Bloom's taxonomy. Following the voting procedure, the number of apps for each category was refined to 10 per category. Students were then asked to trial each app over the summer period. Towards the end of this period, a questionnaire was created and distributed via the Qualtrics online platform, where students were asked to rank the apps in each category according to their usefulness. Approximately 87 students received the questionnaire, and 36 responses were received. The result is the following smart wheel. Based on a student survey, each app was designated a scale and location on the SMART taxonomy, the largest size indicating most useful. Google search was considered the most useful in the remembering category, receiving 62% of the student vote. In the comprehension category, Behance came out on top, 48%, closely followed by Facebook, 35%, and Twitter, 15%. In the applying category, the app of choice was Evernote, whilst Qualtrics dominated the analyzing category. Notability proved to be the most popular app for evaluating, while iMovie and Photoshop Express stood out as the most useful apps for creating. Other aspects of the survey focused on device ownership, user habits, and general attitude towards technology within the learning environment. Interestingly, most participants claimed to own more than one device, with the smartphone being the most common. Laptops and tablets were second and third, respectively. Very few of the 36 students, 4%, owned a desktop computer. As smartphones are not functionally equivalent and apps are often platform-specific, the survey also shows responses to the question, what type of operating system does your mobile phone use? Android and Apple were the 2 main contenders, with 50% and 33%, respectively. Students were also asked, how many apps do you download per month? The majority of students, 83%, download between 1 and 5 apps per month, with the remaining, 17%, downloading up to 15 apps. To compare app ownership against usage, 2 questions were asked. How many apps do you currently have on your handheld device? And, on a typical day, how many of those apps do you use? Half of the students, 50%, claimed to own between 15 and 20 apps, while 17% of the students own between 30 and 35 apps. This figure is reflected in a recent Ofcom report, 2014, stating that 6 in 10, 61% adults say they have between 1 and 20 apps installed. Around 1 in 5, 18% have between 21 and 40, and 1 in 7, 14% have 41 or more. It was also reported that the biggest users, 59% of smartphones, are aged between 16 and 24. General attitude to technology within the learning environment was measured using the Likert-type fixed-choice response format. This measured levels of agreement and disagreement to the following statements. I believe that I can improve my graphic design illustration skills by using the benefits of the Internet. All 36 students strongly agreed with this statement. If encouraged to do so by my lecturer, I would use my smartphone more often as part of my studies. Again, the majority of students, 97%, either agreed or strongly agreed. I would be a better learner if I knew how to use technology at university. 93% of the respondents strongly agreed with this statement. I want to learn more about using technology at university. 96% either agreed or strongly agreed. Students' relationship with technology is complex. According to an EduCause report in 2013, they recognize its value but still need guidance when it comes to better using it for academics. Student feedback would suggest that once students begin using technology for learning, they begin to appreciate the benefits and the further possibilities that exist within their current frame of reference. This is certainly the case with many of the apps in the survey. A good example of student take-up is the Behance application. Principally used as an online portfolio, it also allows each student to submit work for formative feedback on a more regular basis. In doing so, they are also able to present their work in a more professional manner whilst also building a comprehensive account of progress for each project. As few freshers are familiar with this application, it is introduced at a very early stage in their studies, as part of the induction process. This faculty-led approach has had a huge effect on its popularity. Clearly, students are willing to integrate their existing understanding of technology into their current studies. Among smartphone users, this is already evident in the ways they seek to manage their lives as learners using apps to check Blackboard and timetables. However, it is still not clear how smartphone learning can transition from the existing pedagogic paradigm to a Pedagogy 2.0 paradigm, how it can help to disrupt existing expectations to transform pedagogy in the way that was suggested back in 2004. It is suggested that academics and educational developers continue to develop their understanding of personal technologies like smartphones and their applications, and, with that understanding, reflect on the differences between these emerging technologies and established learning environments. In doing so, educators need to also reflect on their assumptions about the design and delivery of the curriculum and the formal and informal engagement students can have with it. Meanwhile, the Smart Wheel, as part of this research, has taken some of the first steps towards that transition. Thank you for listening.